Hello, friends from the comic book world. My name is Hector,
And my name is G.
and we're here to talk to you about the April 2025 new releases for collected editions and graphic novels. G and I work for Penguin Random House, so the titles you're going to see here are from publishers that we represent into the international market. Also, note that we're on social media, so you can find us on X, on Instagram, on Facebook, and of course on YouTube. We'll leave some links in the descriptions for you. And the way that these video works, if you haven't seen these before, is that we go over first uh, some of our picks, things that G and I are both excited about for this month, and then we're gonna highlight some other titles that we think you should not miss, and then we'll show you the rest of the list, which you shouldn't miss also, but you get to see at the end. If you watch all the way to the end, you'll be able to see everything that is going to be available through Penguin Random House for collected editions and graphic novels for the month of April 2025. So without further ado, let's get started. First pick is mine, Dark Knights of Steel, the deluxe edition by Tom Taylor and Jasmine Putri. I am a huge fan of not just Tom Taylor, but in general, but also this title specifically. I collected it when it came out in singles. I also had to grab the trade. I uh, did all the, and then I'm also now reading and collecting the sort of continuation spin-off series that is coming out. Um, and this, I'm really excited that they're doing this deluxe edition, which, first of all, this cover is brand new, was not on the single issues, and it's by Jasmine Poetry. So that is very exciting. Also, and there's also, if you go to the next slide, there's direct market edition with one of the Damora covers that was on the comic. I believe this was the cover for issue 11. If you don't know the story, just extremely fast, you should know. But this is basically taking the characters from the DC universe and kind of putting them into the Middle Ages and put them in. It's not just that. It would be easy to just say that, but the story that Tom Taylor created. I mean, Tom Taylor is amazing at doing these Elseworld alternate, you know, storylines like Deceased and some of the other ones. So he's definitely one of the top authors when it comes to this kind of thing. He put each character in the perfect place. It created a new character with them, like Bruce Wayne, Batman. He is the Dark Knight, but he's also he put him in a position where he's sort of adopted son and adopted brother of Kal-El because Kal-El's parents are actually aliens who come from another world and become the king and queen of this world. Diana is, and the Amazons are the Amazons, but they're like this other tribe within the Middle Ages, and you see that kind of what would it would be if a tribe of the Amazons would be like, so many other cultures around, Europe and the Middle Ages where and their relationship. And he does many things. There's a lot of plot twists, a lot of character reveals where you think this is one character, all of a sudden there's somebody else or something else. There's the lines between who's good and who's bad, they're blurred all the time, which is amazing. I mean, every character here, from Superman, Batman, to all the way down to all the characters, have very important plot points. And he very purposely wrote in every character in the story, and they have a part in the story. So it is amazing how he does it. I don't know how he can, you know, I really compare it to what authors like George R. R. Martin are able to do with things like Ice and Fire, like Game of Thrones, where they they present these characters and they tell you the story, and usually the underdogs are the ones that come up, at the end, and you get a lot of story arcs that you didn't expect. You're gonna see a very cool version of Harley Quinn, of Ivy, of Alfred, of the Robins, which are I'm not gonna if you haven't read it, I'm not gonna tell you, but you should read it out because it's very cool what he does with the Robins. Um, and Green Arrow, I mean, no spoiler. Obviously, it's like a Robin Hood type character, but there's more to it too. So he does also a lot of with the superpowers and magic in the DC universe and what they mean and what the characters that have them. He sort of puts them in what they would look like in the Middle Ages. So I could be talking about Dark Knights of Steel all day, but I won't. I just want to tell you it's very exciting that we're getting a deluxe edition. I know there's a lot of fans out there, not just of Tom Taylor, but also of Jasmine Putri, and like I said, I am extremely excited about that new cover by Jasmine Putri that is different from any cover that we've seen in the series. And it's 1 to 12, so this does include Dark Knights of Steel number 1 through 12, and also Dark Knights of Steel Tales from the Three Kingdoms, which was another separate one shot with like I think it was like 4 or 5 short stories. Some of them were like the characters of Kal-El and Bruce Wayne as kids, and some other ones did like little prequel stories to the main story. um, and it has an introduction by Mark Wade, and like I said, a new cover by Jasmine Poetry for the trade dress, so trade edition. Sorry. So that's it. There you go.
All right, so my pick is Ginseng Roots. This is from Craig Thompson, who is very well known for his very much well-loved work of blankets. So
Hmm.
we do have this coming out, this memoir coming out, following up on that in April. And this one follows Craig and his siblings who spent the summer in their youth weeding and harvesting like the very much coveted American ginseng on rural Wisconsin farms, and they were paid $1 an hour. So, with Craig's trademark pen and ink work, he basically interweaves lost youth with this 300-year-old history of global ginseng trade. Many lives are tied together in this the parallel that he's making here. And we have like ginseng hunters in ancient China, industrial farmers, and migrant harvesters in the American Midwest, and we have his own family still grappling with the aftershock of this bitter past. And so again, it covers from Wisconsin to north East China, and we chart like the industrial agricultural industry, the decline of American labor, and the search for the sense of home in this rapidly changing world. And as always, with Craig Thompson being so renowned, this is something that you definitely don't want to miss out on. And it's coming out of Pantheon.
Very cool. And we continue with Marvel May 1965 Omnibus, and it is by various artists, including obviously Stanley, as you see there. This is I forget how many we are. They're done of this. This is the fifth in a series of monthly 1960s omnibus. I love this concept. If you don't know it, it takes a month in the 1960s that we are celebrating a big anniversary, and it's usually a month where there's at least one or two big titles or characters that have been introduced, but it prints every comic that came out from Marvel that month. So there was August 1961, June 1962, July 1963, February 1964. So we saw the like obviously June 62 is when Spider-Man was introduced, and you'll see there was the Fantastic Family and some of the some really cool key titles, but also some other ones that are a little bit more obscure. They do get their printing into an omnibus for the first time, which is also extremely cool. And people who are collecting these are very happy about because they get restoration for the first time. And like I said, reprinted for the first time ever. For this title in specific, I also want to mention I forget who did the. Oh, sorry. I forget who did the cover. This was Javier Rodriguez. How did I forget? Javier Rodriguez did this cover, and he did the covers for all the other ones. And one cool thing is that these covers, you're gonna see on the previous cover, not this one. You're gonna see most of the characters that are included into these comics. And then now you can go to the next slide, and there's a direct market cover by Jack Kirby, which takes art from the main book that is featured on this omnibus, which is the main comic, which is Strange Tales 1951, number 135, which introduced Shield into the Marvel universe, and it's celebrating 60 years of that. Um, and just so you know, I'm not going to mention everything that is included, but just so you see how big this is, it's going to have X-Men 1963 number 12, Fantastic Four 1961 number 41, but it's going to have some, like I said, some other things you wouldn't think of like Tales of Suspense 1959 number 68, Sergeant Fury number 20. I'm going to stop saying the years because it takes so long, because obviously it's around the same year. Patsy Walker, it's going to be in here, number 122. Kid Colt Outlaw, number 124. Two Gun Kid, number 77. Millie the Model, number 130. Uh, Again, it's a very, very cool concept. I hope they keep doing this. They have become very popular, and I love that they're continuing to do it, and I hope they continue not just into the 60s. Once they finish with the 60s, then you could get 70s and continue on because they're great. So there you go.
All right. Next up, I have Low Orbit. Casimir Lee is the creator on this one, coming out of Top Shelf. We have 15-year-old Azar who feels very stuck. Her mom's job forced them to move to Vermont, where Azar doesn't know anyone, and her only friends are the next door neighbors, who is like an aging sci-fi writer, and his non-binary teen Tristan. And there are fellow misfits in the small town community um, uh, that she's a part of. For a while, Azar can escape her troubles by disappearing into the pages of her neighbor's epic novel, The Exiles of the Overworld. But when her queerness throws her life out of balance, she realizes that some secrets can't be escaped forever. And somewhere between like the malls and the lakes and the comic conventions. There's this that like fills basically her new life as our fights to find herself. And so, what will she discover? It's a very atmospheric coming of age graphic novel about this Malaysian American teen carving out her identity in this like uneasy space between friends and family. And so, yeah, it actually like the art kind of reminds me of I think they're also a Malaysian based game, but if you ever heard of a Space Unbound, I don't know why it's
Mm,
giving me those vibes.
okay.
Like the stories are not like too similar, but like although
But
I
it gives
wouldn't
you
know,
the vibes.
I'm starting to play it right now. That's probably why it's on my mind. I'm starting the story, so I'm like slowly going through it. So but yeah, I guess cuz I don't know. It just
You're
it's
making the
giving me
connection. Yeah,
vibes.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
making a connection.
That's cool.
It's just like this coming that's the thing. It's like the coming of age like story uh part of it that really called to me. So yeah,
Very cool.
I picked for April.
Excellent. And then we continue with Paul Auster's The New York Trilogy. This is by Pantheon. We have two titles on our picks from Pantheon this month. And if you don't know, New York Trilogy, Paul Auster's New York Trilogy, is already a classic. And it's a collection of three stories that are sort of crime noir stories, all based in New York, obviously. And you have the titles right there on the of the short stories on the cover: City of Glass, Ghost, and The Locked Room. And they have a couple things in common. They're kind of uh, they're like hunting sort of noir stories, and they all the main character doesn't end well for the main character for all three stories. Now in 1994, City of Glass was adapted by Lorenzo Mattotti, who's a very well-known uh, comic uh, comic book writer, illustrator, and editor, and also a professor, a teacher, with the illustrations from David Mazzucchelli. And it was printed in 30 different editions of the Northern Anthology of Postmodern Fiction sort of magazine and journal. I think it's a journal. And it just had like excerpts throughout the whole story over 30 editions. Uh, I believe this is the first time that story is being collected in one. I'm not 100% sure, but Ghost and the Locked Room were not made into graphic novel format. They were not put into graphic novel format until now, and they were again adapted from Paul Auster's original stories. But Lorenzo Mattotti, he did the adaptation plus he did the illustrations for those other two. So this is huge. It does have David Mazzucchelli's amazing illustrations. Not that Lorenzo Mattotti's are not great, but David Mazzucchelli obviously has a bigger name. Last year, we saw a lot of excitement over Batman Year One, the artist edition. There's a Daredevil one coming out where he's also the illustrator. And we see already a lot of anticipation for that. So there's that. There's the stories are amazing. That's why they're already classics. And and Lorenzo Mattotti, if you don't know who he is, you should look him up. He is one of those persons who's been in the industry for a long, long time on the more literary side of it, obviously, but he is sort of a master and an eminence in this kind of field. So, and obviously, he did that one story with David Mazzucchelli, which is very well known that it was created. I don't know if it won awards or anything, but it was definitely well regarded in critics were all over it. So that's it. It's coming out. It's I think sort of for literary collectors, but also collectors of David Mazzucchelli. This is definitely a must. Yep.
I'm gonna go back and correct my mistake.
What did you say?
So
What
low
was it?
orbit, I was comparing it to Space Unbound. Space Unbound is for Indonesian game developers. It still reminds me of this title
No,
in a
but you were
way,
saying, yeah, yeah, you're
but
making a comment that it kind of gives you the same vibe.
but
So
this
I
is like the
understand that.
Malaysian Americans in yeah, yeah. Just so you know.
And, uh,
I just don't
but
want
it's
to
good
make
that
a
you're corrected,
I'm correcting
correcting it,
myself on
so
countries.
you don't get
If any of you are also playing the game. But anyway, moving
I
on.
think we should fear more the anger from the people playing the game than the people from
Like
Malaysia.
from
So
Malaysia.
I think
Yeah.
the game players are more quick to judge. Anyways, go for it.
Okay, so continuing on, we have Remember Us to Life. This is actually the winner of the Nordic Council Literature Prize. It's available for
Mhm.
the first time in English. So it chronicles the life of Joanna Rubin Drangers, who investigates into her Jewish family's history. It spans time, space, it spans three continents, and it's basically a search for her lost relatives. So it's through discolored photos retrieved from like moth-eaten boxes. She discovers the startling modernity and vibrancy of the lives of her family, never spoken about, and the devastating violence that led to their senseless murders. So it's very much a carefully researched, expertly told story that recounts her family's immigration from Poland and Russia to Sweden and Israel, where her relatives found work, marriage, and community, unaware of the horrors that are about to come for them. So it basically interweaves anecdotes, stories, and historical accounts of the persecution of Jewish people in Germany, Poland, Lithuania, and Russia prior to and during World War II, as well as anti Semitic policies and actions, and the supposedly neutral government of Sweden, Joanne's home country, and the unflinchingly brave and intimate portrayal of one of history's greatest tragedies, that has captured many readers' hearts. Hence the amount of attention it got for winning that literature prize. So it very much like follows in the tradition of like Mouse, Persepolis, for instance. It's about like it's really meant to get the readers to think, to explore topics of grief, alienation, reclamation of one's history. It's masterfully told, very moving about this one woman's search for identity as she slowly like uncovers truths about how her Jewish relatives disappeared during the war. And so yep, this is coming out in hardcover out of 10 speed graphic.
Right. And then we're going to continue with highlighting some other titles that are coming up during the month of April 2025. We start with All In, the collected edition by Mark Waid and others. And then we have Amazing Spider Man Epic Collection Venom, new printing by David Michelin. And then I love this one, Batman Elmer Fudd, the deluxe edition. This is by Tom King. And next up, I was talking about the Elseworlds news stories that are coming out, and this is one of them, Batman, Gotham by Gaslight, The Kryptonian Age by Andy Diggle. And last on this slide is Brielle and Bear, Volume 1 by Salome Doku.
Mhm. I can't wait to read that. It's like a Beauty and the Beast
It looks
thing.
very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
looks cute.
Yeah.
Um, and then we have Catman, Parari. And then we have DC Finest titles. So Batgirl, Nobody Dies Tonight, Peacemaker, Kill for Peace, Superman Family, The Giant Turtle Man. These are really nice. If you haven't
Mm,
picked it up, it's so nicely constructed. I highly
yeah.
recommend picking up the previous ones that came out as well. We have Fantastic Four, Chip Zdarsky, Fate of the Four, and you may have already seen the trailer that came
Yeah.
out. At the time of this recording, it was yesterday. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, really excited for that.
Yes. We continue with From the World of Minor Threats, Barfly, written by Patton Oswalt, Jordan Bloom, Kyle Starks. And then we have Godzilla Library Collection, Volume 4 by Chris Morey, Matt Frank, Chip Sorno, and others. And then we have Godzilla Skate or Die, Louis Joyce. I mean, I collected this one. It's such a fun story. And yeah, I'm really excited that now you're going to get to see it all collected. And then we have How to Talk to Your Succulent by Zoe Persico. It's another one, cute one that I really want to read too. And then Huda F wants to know a graphic novel. Huda Fani, I believe is this like I believe this is going from hardcover to trade, right? Because we already had this. Anyways. but it's I read this. If this is the oh wait, this is another one. Hold up, Fami. I don't know. No, sorry, it's the original. Never mind. But it's very cool. If you haven't read it, read it. I recommend it. Sorry.
And then we have Human Torch Burn, Carl Kessel, and of course Kelly Thompson's famous character here. It's
Yay.
Jeff first. Everyone loves
Hmm.
Jeff. We
Yes.
have Jupiter's Legacy Library Edition Volume 1, Mark Millar. We have Justice League, Snyder and James Tynion the Fourth Omnibus Volume 1, and then Tagami's Kid Venom Origins.
Next up is Kill All Immortals by Zach Kaplan. And then we have Nightwing Rebirth Omnibus by Team Silly. And then we have Paranoid Gardens, Gerard Way and Sean Simon. And we continue with Patra by James Robinson. And next up is Plastic Man No More, Christopher Cantwell.
Continuing on, Benjamin Percy's Predator versus Black Panther, Mark Millar's Prodigy Slaves of Mars. This is the new edition of Sean Murphy's Punk Rock Jesus. And then what's really cool is the ROM is coming out in Epic Collection, the original Marvel years. This is the volume one by Bill Mantlo, and we have Summer Shadows, John Harris Dunning.
And we continue with Star Wars Crimson Reign Omnibus Laniel U cover by Charles Soule. That was a big crossover event that happened 2 years ago, I believe. And then Star Wars Crimson Reign again, but this is the Rod Rise cover, direct market only cover. And then we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures Companion Volume 1 by various artists in there. And then we have The Flip Side, a graphic novel by Jason Walls, and The Mask Matcher by David A. Goodman.
All right, The Rocketeer breaks free by various creators, Stephen Mooney, Stas Johnson, for instance. The Well, John Allen, and then we have Ben and Max Berkowitz and Josh Gad, who did the work on the writer, but you'll also see the Mike Mignola Dark Market cover, which is really cool. And then we have Gail Simone's Uncanny X-Men Volume 1 Red Wave.
Collecting that. And that's it for the highlights for the month of April 2025. Like I said at the beginning, we're going to leave you with the rest of the list. G and I are going to, step away, but we'll leave you with some nice music, some cool slides of collected editions and graphic novels. So enjoy the rest of the video. Go visit us on Instagram, X, and Facebook and YouTube. And definitely, we hope you enjoy this. So come back for more. Take care. Bye.
Bye, everyone.